I can already tell you that today's class is not going to be a jolly class. We're not going to live here with smiles on your faces. It might be a little bit of a harsh class, but you still need to face the reality. 2 days ago we read the Parashat Ki Tavo, and we read there very clearly when the Torah says, if you're not going to listen to me, not to me, what the Torah says, if you're not going to listen to the Torah, then we read a whole list of curses and diseases and afflictions and problems, and the Torah on one hand says, listen, I'm not here to do any harm, but nevertheless the Torah comes out very clearly that when we don't do what the Torah says, then there's a reaction, there's a result to that. You want to use the word punishment, they use the word, whatever word you want to use, but there is a reaction to our action. And you can call it a cause and effect. I like calling it a reaction, an action and a reaction. Because at the end of the day, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, these are the rules. Follow the rules, things will be fine. Don't follow the rules, don't expect things to work out how you're expecting. And Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us a book. I know it's a big book, I know there's a lot of rules in the book, but the book is the manual. This is the Torah, and the Torah tells me if you're going to do A, the reaction will be so and so. You'll do B, the reaction will be so and so. Torah is very clear. It tells me very clear, you're not allowed to steal, you're not allowed to kill, you're not allowed to lie, you're not allowed to commit adultery. It's not a book of recommendations. This is a book of rules. So when the Torah comes and tells me rules, it's when the Kadosh Baruch Hu laid down the foundation. Now, the easiest way to relate with it, I have little kids, I need to educate them. I tell my little kids, you see that little plastic thing on the wall? Don't put things in there, because you might get electrocuted. Whether they understand it or not, that's a whole different thing. But I at least am obligated on telling them, don't stick things in that hole, because chas v'shalom can be a disaster. Now they don't see the electricity, even if they tell me, why, what's in this white plastic thing? Well, there's electricity running in the wall. But I don't see electricity, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So I have the responsibility to tell my kids, don't put anything in the socket. Don't put your hand on a boiling hot stove. Don't put your head into the water and don't take the head out. And whatever it is, I have the responsibility to tell my kids what to do and what not to do. Same thing here. Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world. He's the architect of the world, and he gave us a book of instructions saying what to do and what not to do. Some things make sense. Not to kill makes sense. But to us it makes sense. You know, in some cultures it's a normal thing to kill. So we're not going here by common sense, because in many places the culture or the background will disagree with what the Torah says. The Torah says you can't have immoral behavior when you're not married. So some cultures that's a normal thing. So we can go by the geographic location of where we are, or the culture, or definitely common sense. The Torah is not about common sense. The Torah is about clear rules. So if the Torah tells me I'm not allowed to kill, I'm not allowed to kill. And then it specifies to me what I'm not allowed to kill. You're not going to find that in the Torah, but you're going to find it in the commentaries and in the oral Torah, what I'm not allowed to kill. Maybe I'm not allowed only to kill. Maybe when the Torah says you're not allowed to kill, it means only on Mondays and Wednesdays I'm not allowed to kill. But Tuesday it's fine to kill. So the Torah comes with a lot of commentary. And everything is explained. Why? So I can understand what I'm allowed to do in this world, what I'm not allowed to do in this world. Now, Rosh Hashanah is the day that we're literally standing in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and it's not only us. People think Rosh Hashanah is for the Jews. Rosh Hashanah is for the entire world. It's not only for Jews. Also Gentiles are being judged on that day. Also animals are being judged on that day. The planets, the solar system, everything is judged on that day. The entire world is being judged. Therefore, then we have to understand that not only us as a Jewish nation we're being judged, everything is being judged on that day. But let's now concentrate on our own problems, not on the global problems. This is the day where I'm literally standing in front of the master of the universe, and on one side stands a prosecutor, and on the other side stands the defense attorney, and starts a whole trial. And I know that in 48 hours it seems pretty impossible for 7 billion people to stand in front of Hashem, but Hashem has the ways to do things, and there's no time in the world above. The problem is that we're not really aware of really what's going on Rosh Hashanah. we're happy with our new clothes, and we're happy with dipping the apple in the honey, and we're happy with many things, but we don't really realize that right now I'm on trial. And just now, I had a conversation with a dear friend of mine, and I'm sure he's going to be watching the video after it goes online. And I'm going to use his experience and his story as an example. He hired a certain individual to do some work around the house. Nevertheless, the contract was broken. The person didn't do what he was supposed to do, started a disagreement and so forth. And it doesn't matter right now who's right or who's wrong. In this particular case, based on what my friend is telling me, and I know the person, he's right, not the other person. Long story short, instead of working it out, instead of figuring it out, then that person took him to a court, sued him to court. Now, I'm not telling all the details in the story because it's not so important. The point is that my friend is very hurt. Mainly because the other person is from the same shul. It's not some contractor from the street. It's a person from the same shul. He wanted to help that person and give him parnasah. That person didn't do anything that he told him to do. Rather did damages and a lot of other problems. And now the other person is suing him because he doesn't want to pay him for something he didn't even do, that he doesn't even supposed to get money. But the details of the story are less relevant. The point is that he got very upset, especially that it's a person that wears a yarmulke and wears a beard and prays 3 times a day. And why are you taking me to a civil court? Why can't we just figure it out like 2 good Jews? And if you want to do it in a court, take me to the Beit Din. Let's go to the Beit Din. You wear a beard, no? You show yourself in the shul 3 times a day. Why don't you want to go to the Beit Din and finish with it? Long story short, he was very upset. And I told him, don't you get it? This is just Hashem's way of preparing you for Rosh Hashanah. Don't be upset at the person. He was very upset at the person. I told him, don't be upset at the person. The person is a shaliach, is a messenger. Have no anger towards him. Have no disappointment. Have no feelings of revenge or whatever it is. He is a messenger. The Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to wake you up. The same way you are afraid to stand in front of a physical judge, Hashem is trying to tell you, you should to be afraid of standing in front of me, not in front of a physical judge. And I told him, besides the fact that even if chas v'shalom, the judge will rule against you, then take it as a kapara. Take it as an atonement for anything that you did for the last year. Kadosh Baruch Hu is giving you a kiss on your forehead and saying, I'll take care of business, and whatever you have to pay in this court today, then it's what you anyways you owe, and I'm just doing you a favor. The court is actually lit in a few hours. So we'll take the opportunity to also wish him to have success and a good turnout. But, why am I telling you all this? That I spoke with him, it was 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we spoke again on the phone, and I told him, please remind me the day of the court so I can pray for you that day. And he told me, you know, as much as you told me not to take it personal, as much as you told me not to be upset, as much as you told me to take it as a sign from Hashem, I can't. This person, I'm more afraid of seeing him in court than me standing on Rosh Hashanah in front of Hashem. And I told him, see, this is exactly the point that Hashem wants you to come to. He wants you to come to understand that you should not be afraid of a judge in a courtroom. You have to be afraid of Hashem. And this is the problem with most of us. You, chas v'shalom, will be called now to a court because of a fine or a ticket or whatever it is. People get scared before they go to court. Even if they know they are 100% right, even if they know that they have good chances, you're still afraid. Standing in front of the judge, they're all shaking, and everybody, before they go to court, suddenly they finish the whole book of Tehillim. They donate to every non-profit in the universe. They do everything. Why are you doing that? Because a court, a judge, a physical judge, a man, flesh and blood, you should be trembling like this in a few days on Rosh Hashanah, standing in front of Hashem. So I'm using his story as an analysis, as a parable for us to understand that I hope that each and every one of you understand what's going on Sunday evening. This is not just another Yom Tov. This is not a day, it's not even considered a festival. It's one of the Yamim Tovim. It's not a festival. The festivals are Sukkot, Shavuot, and Pesach, not Rosh Hashanah. Now, you can look at Rosh Hashanah in 2 ways. We're going to briefly look at the positive side, but we have to look at the negative side. The positive side is that everything that's going to happen to me in the following year is decided on that day. That's why it's called Rosh Hashanah, and it's not called Techilat Hashanah. If you're looking at the words in Hebrew, Rosh Hashanah doesn't make sense. The head of the year. It should be called the beginning of the year, or something equivalent to that. So in Hebrew, it should have been called Techilat Hashanah, or Hatchalat Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah doesn't make sense at all. Why is it called Rosh Hashanah? Because Rosh is the head, and everything is included in the head. Kind of like a DNA cell. Everything is included in the head. So it means everything that's going to happen to me in the next coming year is decided and included on that day. Which means the more that I find favor in the eyes of the Master of the universe, the more blessing I will get. And needless to say that my year will be according to how I laid the foundation on the night of Rosh Hashanah. The good news here is that I have the opportunity now to fill up my bank account, my spiritual bank account. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to show up to Rosh Hashanah with a nice new suit or a new dress in your case and say, okay, what was is water under the bridge. The past is the history and now we're standing here in the present. This is a mistake. Because on Rosh Hashanah, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is presented with a very big book, much bigger than this, and he starts looking. Okay, let's see. Aleph Tishrei Tafshin Ayin Chet. That's the previous Rosh Hashanah. He goes one page after the other, Beit of Tishrei and Gimel of Tishrei. Now, I can guarantee to you that neither one of you, including myself, remember what happened every day in the last year of your life. We don't. We can't remember such a thing. Unless you keep a journal, unless you have some type of a system to mark everything that you do, you can't remember what you did every day in the last 365 days of the last year. But Hashem knows, and Hashem has records. And if you think that anything is disappearing from the records, you have a mistake. Some people have some type of idea. Maybe some of the details got erased, or maybe a little mouse came and ate the page. It doesn't work like this in the world above. Every action is noted. Every action is documented. Now, the preparation for Rosh Hashanah is more important than the day of Rosh Hashanah. If I come to Rosh Hashanah without preparation, I wasted my time. The only thing that is left for me to do is listen to the blowing of the shofar. This is performing a positive mitzvah from the Torah, and that's it. But I didn't do anything. So I have 30 days prior to Rosh Hashanah to do Teshuvah. So Sephardi, we start saying Slichot 30 days before Rosh Hashanah. The Ashkenaz, they start saying Slichot a few days ago, started on Shabbat to say Slichot. Either way, you have a whole month to, so to say, get your act together. You can't just show up to Rosh Hashanah and say, Hashem, just forgive everything that I did. I'm such a good person and I have a lot of good intentions, but it doesn't work like that. Now we have to separate two things here. One category is all the mitzvot and the sins that I did that are between me and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's one category. Then there's another category of all the mitzvot and the sins that I do and did between me and another person. The Kadosh Baruch Hu tells us out clear, whatever you did between you and me, if you do the right teshuvah, I will forgive you. I will forgive anything. Even idol worship, even murder, I'll forgive anything. The only thing I cannot forgive you is anything that you didn't do to me, that you did to somebody else. Now, how can the Kadosh Baruch Hu forgive me if I hurt you? Hashem says it has nothing to do with me. I will forgive you for technical things, for mitzvot and sins that you did in what's called ben adam lamakom, between me and Hashem. But as a person, you did something wrong to a person, I'm sorry to tell you, I can't even get involved here. So I have to understand that my process of teshuvah is to literally, like a business owner, the same way that a business owner at the end of the year goes through their taxes, they sit with the accountant, they see how much money came in, how much money went out, where did the money go? Did the money go to advertisement? Did the money go for pleasures? Whatever. Where did the money go? A business owner, he wants to see an account. Even if the account is in positive. So much more so if it's the account if it's in negative. If you're sitting with the accountant and the accountant says, I'm sorry to tell you, there's loss. Where's the money? Then you start worrying. Maybe I'm putting too much money in the wrong place. The same exact way I have to sit with myself and with my own account and my spiritual account and to make an analysis. What did I do the whole year? Did I do more mitzvot? Did I do averot? Did I did sins? What sins did I do? Are my sins severe? Are the sins not severe? The point is that you have to take Rosh Hashanah in a very severe way. It's not, you can't take Rosh Hashanah light-headed. You can't just say, Kadosh Baruch Hu is such a great God and He loves forgiving everybody. And it's true, He will forgive you. But it has to come with a process. And don't be so sure that you're just going to waltz into a shul and the Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to say, check, 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 you're all good to go. Just dip the apple in the honey and let's call it a day. So it doesn't work like that. Now, if you live in denial that it works like that, then a person like that will enter Rosh Hashanah with a problem because they don't understand that they need to make an action to reverse everything that they did. The good news, like I said, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is willing to listen. His ears are open, his hands are open, the doors are open. He's willing to accept anyone who will do Teshuvah, but you have to do Teshuvah. You have to do a certain action. So Teshuvah, the definition of Teshuvah is, first of all, not to do the sin anymore. Second of all, to have regret and remorse. More than that, to take on yourself that you're not going to do this ever again, and to confess. These are the four components of Teshuvah. If you want to go by the actual order, is first of all not to do the sin, to leave the sin, then to regret, then to confess, then to take on yourself a decision never to do it again. But there's another component in the Teshuvah that most people seem to
Teshuvah only complete when you're confronted with the same situation again.
That's a whole different reason, a whole different way. When the Teshuvah is 100% complete, this is exactly what I was about to say now, that the Teshuvah has more components. And one component is if another person is involved, and if that person forgave me, or if that person marked off the debt, or if that person is willing to forgive, or whatever it is, Teshuvah is not just 1, 2, 3 and you're done and you're ready to go. It's a serious process. And you want to make sure that you're doing it right, because you don't want to take chances that you're coming to Rosh Hashanah with such bitachon. It's good to have bitachon and emunah that Hashem will really forgive us and accept our Teshuvah. But Hashem can only accept your Teshuvah if you actually did Teshuvah. If you didn't do Teshuvah and it's all in theory, so what would Hashem accept? Now we have to separate for 1 second Hashem from being a great God, a great Father, forgiving God, have a lot of chesed and kindness. Yeah, that we know that. But don't forget what we read 2 days ago in the shul, in Parashat Ki Tavo. Hashem says through the mouth of Moshe Rabbeinu, you're not going to listen to what I tell you. Listen, look what a list of curses are going to, chas v'shalom, lo aleinu v'lo alechem, should fall on us. But the Torah comes and tells you, listen, this is not a game here. This is something serious. So the point is that when I'm facing Rosh Hashanah, the reason why we say slichot is not me asking sorry from Hashem. It's me starting to realize all the bad things that I did. Because if I'm not going to do that, my mind will tend to judge myself favorably. And I will say, no, I didn't do that bad. Okay, so I missed a minyan or two. My mind is not going to tell me, what are you talking about? You know how much Lashon Hara you talked in the last year? You know how many times you lied in the last year? You know how many times you probably hurt another person? How many times you slandered another person's name? How many times you said things that are inappropriate? How many nedarim, we just spoke about nedarim, vows, how many vows you said and you broke? How many times you failed in a sin that is called gezel? Gezel is stealing something from somebody that you don't have necessarily the intent to steal it, and the person doesn't feel the financial loss. Stealing is when you sneak from the window at night and you take something and you run away. You had the intention, you had a plan, the person now figured out that they have a financial loss. But you can go now to a hotel and take their little shampoos and you say, well, I paid a lot of money. But you paid a lot of money to use the shampoos while you're in the hotel, not to take a bunch of them home. So this is gezel. Unless the hotel told you specifically you are allowed to take these little samples home with you, then you have a problem. This is gezel. This is worse than stealing. They don't know they have a financial loss, and you don't necessarily didn't plan it, but this is one form of gezel. And gezel is one of the most severest sins that we constantly fail. And gezel can be in many different ways. How many times you walk into a store, you'll go and order pizza, and they give you with the pizza all these the gravies or whatever, the sauce, and then you take a few more for tomorrow, for the lunch tomorrow. That's not for you to take. You have to take what is for you to eat right now. So this is two examples out of many what Gezel is. You have to really look back and start saying, maybe I failed with many, many things. So the slichot is not necessarily me asking forgiveness from Hashem. First of all, and most important, in the slichot, I don't know if you actually say it or not. I know I told you I'm going to look it up in English so you can say it in English, but nevertheless, a big part of the slichot is that we do vidui, that we confess. Hashamno, bagadno, gazalno. I mean, you have to look at the nosach. Each one is different. In the Sephardi nosach, it's so detailed. It says, I lied, I have stole, I have hurt another person's feelings. This is for me to start realizing, wait a minute, maybe I actually did it. Maybe I did fail in that department, and I need to do teshuvah. So my teshuvah has to be very practical. I would even explain it that it has to be mechanical here. It's not that you just say it in theory. When I do teshuvah, first of all, now it's a little bit too late, but I'm just giving you as a way to know it and to apply it. It's almost impossible to do teshuvah now for the last year. So the best way of doing teshuvah is every day you do teshuvah. And you have to develop a system of awareness that the second that you did a sin, right away alarm goes off in your mind. So you say, whoa, wait a minute. So right away you can change it. You need to develop a system that when you know that you just did something wrong, right away you apologize. Right away you stop. Right away you give it back. That's the best way of doing teshuvah. And if that doesn't always happen, then you have to have an awareness. If you said something and you hurt somebody's feeling, I'm pretty much sure you know that what you did that moment. You might have anger in that moment and you don't want to apologize or take it back, but nevertheless, you are aware of your actions. If you're not aware of your actions, that's a whole different thing. So the highest level of teshuvah is that every second you are aware of what's going on, what's coming out of your mouth, the thoughts that are going on in your head, and needless to say, you have to do it in a healthy way, not in an OCD way. When I became observant, then I shared that many times, my goal was not to wear a yarmulke on my head when I became observant. It took me 3 years to start wearing a yarmulke. My process of turning from a secular individual to an observant individual had nothing to do with how I looked. I didn't wear a yarmulke, I didn't wear tzitzit, I barely did any mitzvot. The beginning was just getting rid of the junk. If you want to now remodel the home, first you have to get rid of the junk. Then there's space to work. Then you can start fixing things. So getting rid of the junk, every word that came out of my mouth was a curse, was a derogatory word, a lie, cheating. My mouth, Hashem Erachem, what was there? And I was like, how can I start praying to the master of the universe? That the tool that is used to pray is used for cursing, cheating, and lying. So that had to be worked on. The whole thought process had to be changed. Everything had to be changed. So one of the things that I really had my mind to in the beginning when I became observant is not to lie, not to cheat, not to say lashon hara, not to curse. I mean, I'm sure you're aware in the secular world, every second word that comes out of people's mouth is a curse. It's unbelievable. It's disgusting. It's actually disgusting. Sometimes you hear people talk like, stop. Why? Why do you have to every second word add an adjective or some type of a definition? And it's horrible. You know, and most people in the world, if they'll bump their leg at the end of the table, right away flies out a word. Why you say that word? I'm going to start saying the A word, the B word, the A word, all these the letters. But nevertheless, why are you saying this word? Just say I. Say ouch. And chas v'shalom, if somebody will do something wrong to you, somebody cuts you on the street, you curse him, the mother, the father, the whole family you curse. So I had this issue that my mouth, the power of speech was so defected that I had to reverse that before I open a siddur and start praying. So I would literally say something and right on the spot catch myself and no, I'm sorry, no, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean that. And I mean, I know people kind of thought that I'm a little bit cuckoo, but I didn't care what people think about me. So I developed a system that I'm aware the moment that I'm doing an action, so I can right away rectify it. Now the next time you want to do teshuvah, and again, I know now it might be 2 minutes too late, but you still have a week before Rosh Hashanah, less than a week, and not only that, after Rosh Hashanah we're continuing to live. The next and most important time that you do Teshuvah is at Kriyat Shema al Hamita. When you sit before you go to bed, I know it's a difficult prayer because you're already tired and you want to crash, so you can say it an hour before you go to bed. You don't have to say it a minute before you go to bed. But before saying the text in the Siddur, you sit on the bed and if you want to be smart, you take a piece of paper and you write down everything that you did. This is a custom that Hasidim used to do. They would write down, not a journal, rather, what did I do today that has to be rectified? And then the next day you're able to fix it right away. And you don't have to delay things and you don't forget things. I told you on Sunday the story, I'll say it again because many weren't here. Many years ago, we lived in an apartment building, and one night I came home and my wife told me, by the way, we owe the neighbor $40 because I didn't have cash to pay to the cleaning lady. So I took out $40 out of my pocket and I told her, go and pay the neighbor right now. And she told me, listen, it's 11:30 at night, it's late, I'll do it tomorrow morning. I said, pay her now, because in the morning it's going to be hectic, you have a lot of kids, you're going to have to get them ready for school, your morning is crazy, then you'll forget. Then will come afternoon, you have to already prepare for the kids coming back, before you know it, you'll forget. It's natural. And now what's going to happen, 1 day passes, 2 days pass, 3 days passes, and before you know it, you completely forgot. It's $40, it's not $4 million. It's $40, what's $40 between me and a friend? And now what's going to happen? You forgot about it. She didn't forget about it. Another day will pass, another day will pass, and every time you bump into her, you're going to get a stare from her. She owed me $40. And then a week will pass, 2 weeks will pass, you still didn't give her the money, so she's going to start talking Lashon Hara about you. Now the whole floor will know that you took $40 and you didn't pay it. Now it's going to come, Lashon Hara comes with exaggeration. She begged me for the $40. No, she didn't. But nevertheless, before you know, the whole building knows that you didn't pay her. Now it's not that you borrowed. Now you're becoming a complete monster. And before you know it, you will forget, time will pass. Now what? Now if she's not going to have the courage to come and tell you, by the way, you owe me $40, what's going to happen? She's going to develop all these feelings of anger and disappointment and starts talking Lashon Hara and lying about you. Who needs this headache? Just go and finish the bill right now. So when you do Kriyat Shema al Hamita and you go through the day, you summarize the day in a very, very detailed way. Then the next most auspicious time will be Friday before you light your candles, or a man before he goes to the shul and prays mincha. You sit for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes. You're saying, what did I do this week? How was my week? And I'm going to say in a second what you need to look for. So same thing you do on Friday, and then the same thing you do on Erev Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is a very powerful time to do Teshuvah. I know that the Ashkenaz, some of them fast on Erev Rosh Chodesh, because the Rosh Chodesh, they call it a Yom Kippur Katan. It's a small Yom Kippur. Many Ashkenazim, they fast on the day before. And needless to say, then the rest of the time to do Teshuvah is Elul and Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Now when you want to practically say, okay, how do I do Teshuvah right now? How can I guarantee that on Sunday, when I'm standing in front of Hashem, that I'm actually coming with clear? So then if you want to be practical here, and you want to be practical, this is not theory, then you go one department after the other. The first and easiest to track is money, is if you owe anybody money. If you are a boss, maybe you owe your workers money. Maybe you owe the utilities, and don't think utilities is not owing money. This is it says clearly in halakha that when I live in a country, whatever country it is, I am bound to the laws of the country and I have to listen to the country's laws. Can't live and say, I don't agree with the government, I'm not paying taxes or utilities. This is not allowed to, based on halakha. So even if you have now debts with utilities, electricity, mortgage, whatever it is, you have to square it out. And this is part of the teshuvah. Now, it doesn't matter right now if you have money or you don't have money. You still have to come to terms. So any type of money issue, you have to go and to find out if there's any type of money that you owe anybody. And if you use your imagination, it can be a friend that you borrowed money. It can be a vow that you made in a shul that you said, I'm going to give a donation, and you never gave that donation. Or if you have different bills. I went to the water company to square some information there. There was a woman there who came and she said, she looked like an observant woman, and she said, I don't have money to pay, but I know I have a debt, and I want to make sure that you are aware that I know that I have a debt, but this is my situation. That's when I'm next time getting my paycheck. And she squared it out. The guy was nice. He told her, no problem. What's your next payment? How much you can make the next payment? At least square it out. So don't think for 1 second utilities is not under your obligation. I know a lot of people say, who cares? Somebody else will pay. They let them run after me. Don't think that this is not going to come to an account on Rosh Hashanah, and this is taxes, the utilities, any type of debt that you have, that you want to make a list. Maybe there's somebody that I owe money. And you know how many times people are in a shul and they promise, I will give a donation to the shul. Many shuls, they sell things and you raise the hand. It's very easy to raise the hand when there's an auction in the shul. But to go like this later on the check, it's a little bit harder. So you have to very thoroughly go through anything that has to do with finance to see if you have anything unpaid. And it doesn't matter if you have money or not. Even if you don't have money, you turn to the person and you say, I don't have money right now. I'm planning on paying. I'm waiting for payment or whatever it is, but you want to square any type of finance out. Then, next thing that you want to do is anything that what I said before is nedarim, is vows. Now I know now it's a little bit hard to remember what I said, what I promised the last year. So the best way of doing it is that you confront the circle where you live. And it's now nothing wrong with going to people that you know and tell them, do I owe you money? Maybe I borrowed or maybe I don't owe you anything. No, good, Baruch Hashem. Did I hurt you in any way? Did I promise you something? There's nothing wrong with approaching the circle of people that you know, your parents, your spouse, your kids, your fellow workers. What are we talking here about? 30 people, 40 people, 50 people that you have to maybe pick up a phone call and say, wish them Shana Tova? What's wrong? What if you tell the person, do I owe you anything? Maybe they'll tell you, yeah, by the way, you did. You told me you'll pay me for that and you never did. So you want to take the time. First of all, it's nice. It's a nice courtesy to call people that you know, that you like, to wish them Shana Tova. What's wrong with that? And on the way, tell them if I hurt you, if I owed you anything, I want to apologize. If I promised you something and I didn't fulfill it, then I will want to compensate you. Whatever it is, it's the right thing to do. You know, in the Yiddish way of saying it's I think this is a mensch, how? Mensch thing, whatever, I don't know the accent, but it's the right thing to do. Menschlich, whatever it is. You know what I mean. The point is that all it takes is a phone call. It's nice. It's the right thing to do. And on the way, you ask the person, if I hurt you in any way, I'm asking for forgiveness. If I owe you anything, please let me know. I would want to pay that. If I promised you something. You know, vows is also promising somebody to do something. And you have to be very, very careful with your promises. So promises is also vows. Then you want to go into another level that this is, I would say, the highlight of what you really need to focus on, because this is where people mostly fail. The Kadosh Baruch Hu has a lot of expectations from you. First of all, He wants you to fulfill what the Torah says. When you fail, okay, we're all human, we all fail. Don't think you're the only one. At least be honest, at least admit, at least confess. And Hashem knows exactly when you have difficulties. And just that you know that most of the times that you do fail, it's because the Kadosh Baruch Hu somehow orchestrated it. Of course, you have a free choice to decide what to do, but the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who's going to design situations to see how you react. So Hashem is going to put you in different difficult situations to see if you will fail or not. And in many cases, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to put the power, full power, and you will fail whether you want it or not. Why? Because Hashem wants to see your reaction. This is the next level of Teshuvah that you need to do. Many times the Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to cause you to fail. He's actually going to put the power full force, and whether you want it or not, you will fail. And you know where you see it very obvious? How many times in the last couple months you were pulled into an argument that you didn't want to be in that argument? And you end up cursing, lying, lashon hara, cheating, and you're like, I don't want to be in this argument. Why are you pulling me into this argument? I'm not interested in being in this argument. And sometimes you are the third party. Person A and person B, they have a problem between themselves. And suddenly you somehow get pulled into it. And you're saying, how did I get pulled into it? Now I'm in this salad. So this is one example out of many. But many times, if you really follow your actions, you'll see that you fail. Fail, I'm talking about you do a sin. And if you really try to backtrack to the root of it, you will maybe see that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who is the architect of the sin. Only to see how you react. If you're going to react with anger, if you're going to react with frustration, if you're going to start cursing, if you're going to start cheating, lying, screaming. I know so many people, when they fail, the next day they don't come to the minyan. Why don't you come to the minyan? Why are you punishing yourself? What is one going to do that? No. Some people, something bad happens and they sin. No, I'm not doing this mitzvah right now. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu constantly is testing your reactions. And if you want to be really on top of your game, then you'll notice that the majority of the tests that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is putting you through is how you react to things. Not the action itself, rather the reaction. And unfortunately, most of us fail. When I fail in a sin, that's one problem. But I later on fail in a chain reaction of my reactions. Then usually I will either get angry and then I lose my temper. You're not to lose your temper. It's also a sin to lose your temper and to be angry. And then I start cursing and screaming, and then it will cause me maybe to hurt another person. Needless to say, some people will cause him to become sad and depressed, and Hashem Erachem where He takes you. So you have to understand that in most cases Hashem is testing your reactions in situations. And the Teshuvah has to be done on the reactions. That's why our sages are so smart how they compiled the slichot. Just read the text. If you don't understand the text, get it in English or in the language you understand, that you understand the text, because the text is really instructions how to bring you to do the right Teshuvah. That you really start thinking of your thoughts, of your speech, of your actions, of your behavior, of your emotions. Sins are not necessarily the black and white sins that you do, that it says in the book. This is one thing. I told you already, a sin between you and Hashem, you do the right Teshuvah, Hashem will forgive you. Of course, I'm not giving you such an easy pass. That's between you and Hashem. I don't know the sins. Some sins are not so severe, and some sins are very severe. Although we don't know the severity of sins. One can come and say, oh, this sin is very, very severe, and this sin is, it's not so bad. So we don't know. We don't know the severity of the sins. But the next level of your Teshuvah, it's not the actual sin itself, it's the reactions. And the reactions are more connected to your characteristics and to your midot that you have to fix. And I would say that a more deeper way of doing Teshuvah is, where did you fail in your mission, your actions in this world, when you have to refine your character traits. Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, sinning in a certain action, that's one thing. But I'm also expecting you to refine yourself. And you need to know, as every God-fearing individual, you need to know, what is Hashem expecting from me? What does Hashem want me to do? Hashem is not expecting me to be a robot. Excuse me. And we spoke so many times that the main part of our spiritual growth and purpose in this world is to refine myself. And each and every one of us comes down to the world with a long list of character traits that are positive. You can be charitable, you can be kind, you can be patient, you can be a giver, an educator, and so forth. And each and every one of us comes to this world with a long list of characteristics that are very negative. A person has a problem with anger, with jealousy, with being judgmental, with being impatient, and so forth. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you need to refine yourself. I gave you a soul. Your soul is a diamond, but it's a dirty diamond. It's not a refined diamond, and you need to refine it. The Torah and the mitzvot that we practice is the tools to help me refine myself. And if I am not aware of what I need to refine, that's already a problem. And the only way for me to understand what I need to refine is only if I humble myself. And I'm able to accept what society and people around me are letting me know about myself, unless I can figure it out myself. Now, a lot of people, they have a problem and they're not aware of that. And a lot of people, they have an issue with anger. You go and tell them that they have a problem with anger, their reaction will be like, I have a problem with anger! Well, yeah, yes, you do. So some people are in a much higher spiritual level than they are humble, so they know, they say to themselves, who am I kidding? I'm so judgmental. Who am I kidding? I can't control my anger. Who am I kidding? My thoughts are so negative about every individual. So if you're in a high level, you recognize these midot and you know how to work on them. If you're not on that level, then the people around you will tell you that. Because each and every person around you is a mirror. And one person is a mirror to tell you that you have a problem with patience. Another person is a mirror to tell you that you're judgmental and so forth. If you don't have enough humility, you will not accept what people are reflecting, that it's your own reflection. But if a person, his ego is out of control, and this is most of our problem, we all have a problem with an ego, our ego will not allow me to accept that there's a problem with me. The problem is with you, the problem is with you, the problem is you, it's your fault, I'm perfect, everything is here is perfection, and everybody else is wrong. So I told you already, most people, they wake up in the morning, they look in the mirror, they marvel, wow, look at that. Look what Hashem made here. Now, so many times when that's the sad reality. Now, you don't say it with your own words. Some people actually say it with their words. But you don't really say it with your own words. You just look in the mirror and subconsciously you're saying, Kadosh Baruch Hu knew what he's doing here. And then everybody else is at fault. So here is where you need to develop a little bit, or I should say more than a little, midata anava. You have to be humble, and you have to understand that, in the fights that you have with your spouse, not always you are right. He's not always the wrong one. I always hear when there's a couple fighting, she's wrong, it's her problem. No, she's not, you're the problem. So this is just between spouses. How about a parent and a child and a boss and an employee? You have to understand that you are not always right, and you are not always the right side of the argument. So you need to know how to apply a lot of the midah that is called anava, to be humble, and then you start seeing how people, with their kindness, are telling you where you're failing. And if you're smart, you don't get upset, or you don't get hurt. You get smart, you get busy. Oh, that person just told me that I'm lazy. If somebody tells you over and over you're lazy, it means you're lazy. Don't get upset. Just say, okay, what do I need to do to be not lazy? It's not an insult. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person if you're late all the time. There's one person that I kept telling him, you're always late. Why can't you once be on time? He got very upset. Why are you getting upset? I'm trying to help you. How many business deals you probably didn't do because you were late? How many dates blew up because you were late? So you're not your enemy. I'm trying to help you. So a greater level of teshuvah is that I have to understand I'm now standing in front of Hashem. Imagine now you're standing in front of your father that told you, I need you to do a list of tasks. I need you to water the garden, I need you to feed the kids, the animals, whatever, I need you to go and do the shopping. And then you come and you show up and you did some of it. Imagine the same thing, you're standing in front of Hashem, you have a personal encounter with Hashem, and He tells you, I told you, this is the list of things I told you to do. What did you do? Let's go one after the other. Check, check, check. Hashem is not only expecting us to be the chief rabbi of the world and to be Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. That's not the expectations of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu first is expecting me to be honest, to be truthful, to speak truth, to be emet, to judge people the right way, to judge situations the right way. Look at all the prayers that we pray. One of the most dominating prayer that we say 3 times a day. It's a paragraph. It's one part of a chapter of Tehillim, and attached to it is another chapter of a different chapter of Tehillim. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, odi alelu chasela. We say that 3 times a day. Just read through the lines. If you don't understand the lines, read it in English. Even though the English translation is not that great, but there's one line there that is like the secret of all secrets, and it's just obvious as daylight. It says, "Karov Hashem lechol korav." Hashem is close to the ones who call to Him. Lechol asher yikreu be'emet, to the ones who really call Him. Now, when you say to the ones who really call Him, is not the right translation. The right translation is to say to the ones who call Him with truth, that their entire being is emet. That's why in Hebrew it says, Lechol asher yikreuhu be'emet, that they say His name, everything is truth. Kadosh Baruch Hu cannot stand liars. He has a tolerance to many things. He cannot stand liars. The Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like liars, because liar means that you take the creation of Hashem and you distort it to something completely different. And what a mocking it is to the eyes of Hashem. Why are you lying? This is the situation. Why are you distorting it? So the Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like liars. And He has high expectations from us. He says, I'm not expecting you to sit in yeshiva for 9 hours. I'm not expecting you now to know the Torah inside out. I'm expecting you to be truthful, to be honest, to be right. And a person that their entire being is about emet, about truth, then they're doing very well in the eyes of Hashem. Here a sin, there a sin, fine, we all sin. This is not the point. We have to understand what is the Kadosh Baruch Hu expecting from me. Kadosh Baruch Hu expecting from me to be, what we said, amen, a mensch, to be honest, to be truthful, to look for peace, to pursue peace. Most people, they unfortunately, when it comes to a situation, they're not looking for a peaceful settlement. They're looking to how can I overpower that other person? How can I find revenge? How can I make sure that this guy is now suffering because he did something bad to me? Very few people, they want to end things with peace. The Torah is about peace. If you're looking at all of our prayers, it's all about peace. We pray 3 times a day, Tfilat Shmona Esrei. How do we finish the prayer? Sim Shalom, Shalom, peace. Tova Uvracha. We say every day Kaddish, numerous times, Oseh Shalom B'meromav. It's making peace. We have Birkat Kohanim, Vayasem Lecha Shalom. Everything is peace. The whole Torah is about peace. The Torah is, it's said about the Torah, Darkei Noam v'kol netivotei Shalom. And all her paths are pleasant and peace. So you have to, when you're doing Teshuvah, it's not necessarily if you're so particular about every little nook on Shabbat. Of course you have to observe Shabbat. But your Teshuvah has to be, am I really applying what the Kadosh Baruch Hu is really expecting to me? How many times in this past year have I bought peace in an argument? Or how many times I didn't? How many times I promoted an argument? How many times I was very happy when there was an argument? And how many times did I get a lot of satisfaction that person A was putting person B down instead of me interfering and saying, whoa, why are you making an argument? Why don't we find a way that we all can be happy here? So the Kadosh Baruch Hu is looking at these little things, not necessarily how strict you are and how sharp you are with every halacha. That's good. These are the tools that brings you to become the person that Hashem is expecting you to be. So the teshuvah that you want to do with yourself, and you can only do it with other people around you, is to really see if you are applying what Hashem is expecting from you. And for that, you can only do it if you're really humble. If you're really looking at yourself and saying, listen, I'm not a symbol of perfection. I know what my bad characteristics are. I know where I'm weak. I know where I fail. And then you go and you rectify that. And this is really what you want to focus on before Rosh Hashanah. Because on Rosh Hashanah, don't take it so lightheaded. Rosh Hashanah is not something to ignore. Rosh Hashanah is not something that you, another 48 hours in the calendar, and whatever, I'll just say some Tehillim and I'll dip the apple in the honey and so forth. You have to understand that your entire year and everything else included is decided on that day. Look at the text. I mean, we're going to read the text on Sunday. Look what it says there. It says there very clearly, who's going to live, who's going to die, who's going to become rich, who's going to become poor, who's going to get married, who's going to get divorced, who's going to live, everything. I know it sounds a little bit scary, and there's nothing to be scared of. If you have something to worry about, then it's scary. If you have nothing to worry about, then it's not scary. You know, unfortunately now, when I was on my trip now, I met a lady. And unfortunately, all the people who want to meet me is not to tell me how good their life is. It's just to tell me how bad their life is. And unfortunately, it's just hearing sad stories all day long. I met a young lady that was diagnosed with cancer. Very late stage already, category 4, and stage 4. Nevertheless, we were talking about what can you say to strengthen such a person. Anyways, we had a nice conversation. I told her to do this, to do that, whatever. And I told her, in other words, I told her it's going to sound a little bit harsh to you and very not sensitive, but I told her you should consider yourself lucky. And she was like, why? Because I told her because thousands of people die like that, with no preparation. Heart attack, chas v'shalom lo aleinu, car accident, whatever it is, they just drop dead. They don't have a chance to do teshuvah. I told him, as sad as it is, the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave you a notification now. I'm calling you. You're coming up here. And you better do Teshuvah. So the doctors gave you 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I know it sounds very cold and very not personal, and but I told him, but that's the reality. I would want to get a notification. I would want to get a deadline from Hashem. You have 90 days to do Teshuvah. I told him, you can do Teshuvah. You can literally go up to Shamayim clean. Then she told me, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I told her, what are you afraid of? She was like, I'm afraid of death. I told her, you know why you're afraid? Because you have a conscience. And your conscience bothers you. If you stole something, at night your conscience is going to start bothering you. And you're going to be bothered. If you hurt a person, if you cheated, if you did something bad, the conscience is going to bother you. So I told her, if you are afraid of death, it means that your conscience is bothering you, telling you, do Teshuvah, because you're going to go up there and they're going to tell you, hello. So if everything would be good, you wouldn't be afraid of anything, because your conscience would tell you, you're doing great. So at night, this is the test, how fast you fall asleep. So my wife complains all the time that I fall asleep like that. I don't even put my head on the pillow, I'm already in the third dream already. She tells me, I don't know, you fall asleep like this. It takes me an hour tossing to this side and this side and that side and this angle. I told her, first of all, I only have an hour to sleep, 2 hours max. Then I have to take good advantage of the time. More than that, nothing bothers me. I didn't do anything bad to anything and to anybody. I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't trick anybody, I don't trick anything. I'm straight, I'm honest. Maybe people can talk a lot of things about me, but I know what I do. And I'm honest, and I don't lie, and I don't cheat, and I don't owe anybody anything. So nothing bothers me. And I have 100% bitachon and faith in Hashem. So I go to sleep, I close my eyes, and I go to sleep. If you can't fall asleep, something's bothering you. Your soul is telling you, why were you mean to that person? Why did you steal here? Why did you say Lashon Hara there? Why did you judge that person wrong? Your soul is, knocking on the door, and then it's causing you to not fall asleep. Now, there's no black and white. It doesn't mean that if you don't fall asleep, then you're doomed. I'm just saying in general, when your neshama knows the truth, it will reflect out, and it will bother you. And it will come in many different ways. A lot of people, their sickness, doctors can't find any reason why. The sickness has nothing to do with anything physical. The sickness is because the body, the system is bothered. Whether it's coming from lies, from Lashon Hara, from cheating, from being judgmental. People think, they don't understand how severe it is to be judgmental. It's a very severe thing. Most people are so judgmental. I always stand from the side and I look how people judge each other, and I'm like, why you judge that person? You don't know nothing about that person. Just the other day somebody came to me and what he said about a certain individual. And I told him, I'm sorry, I have to stop you. I can't hear this anymore. You don't know nothing about that person. Everything that you're saying, all your accusations, all your assumptions are not even connected to the reality. You know zero about this person. How dare you even judge that person like that? And most of us are so judgmental. We look at a situation, the little that we know, that we're judging ourselves, first of all. Every situation that I look at is a projection coming from me. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is showing me how I behave, and I'm setting the judgment on myself. That's why the Mishnah tells us, Hevedan kol adam lekav zchut. Be very careful how you're judging people, and always judge a person favorably. Because in most cases, you're judging yourself. And now specifically, before Judgment Day, you're going to be very careful how you judge people. So if a person has some type of an inner fear, that's their conscience telling them, you did something wrong. Who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? You can lie to me, you can lie to whoever you want. You can't lie to yourself, and you definitely cannot lie to Hashem. Kadosh Baruch Hu knows everything. He hears your thoughts, He knows your feelings, He knows everything. So when you're coming to stand in front of Hashem on Rosh Hashanah, you have to understand this is not a simple thing. This is a very severe thing. And a lot of people, they tend to, when it comes to Torah and mitzvot, Kadosh Baruch Hu is a good God, He'll forgive me. So why is it when you're standing in front of a judge, a human judge, you're shaking there scared because he can give you a ticket for $70? That's what scares you, $70 a ticket, whatever it is. That's what I told my dear friend. What is scaring you in the court? A couple $1,000? This is nothing. Say thank you. If chas v'shalom Chas v'shalom, the judge should go against you, just say, Baruch Hashem, I obviously owe that money somehow, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is doing me a favor in taking it. Technically, if you're actually reading it, the text, what we read, we should be trembling in fear before Rosh Hashanah. Trembling in fear. To say, I don't even know what I did. I don't even know what I did wrong. I don't even know how Hashem is going to judge me. So needless to say, we have to keep a positive approach that we can change. That's why we have the whole month of Elul, even though you only left a week. But nevertheless, it's a time where you change, where you reflect. So you take the next 6 days, you have exactly 6 days, and you say, what can I do to make sure that I enter Rosh Hashanah with the right way? Don't think of what you want Hashem to give you. A lot of people think Rosh Hashanah is a shopping list. I need money, I need to get married, I need this. Hashem knows your status. He doesn't need you to remind him what's your bank account status and what's your marital status. Hashem knows if you're married or not. Just say once, Hashem, I want to get married. Hashem, I need parnasah to be, I need bracha in parnasah. This is not what you need to pray for. You need to pray to Hashem to first of all help you find how to do teshuvah. When I became observant, my prayers to Hashem was help me do teshuvah. I want to do teshuvah. I don't know who I owe money. I don't know who I embarrassed. I don't know who I hurt their feelings. I don't remember. Help me do teshuvah. And my prayers were so sincere and from the depth of my heart that people just appeared in my life. People that I owed money just suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Can you imagine the scene? Hey, I owe you money! Me? Really? Yes! So just imagine the reactions of some people. So, I always share the story with my wife. When she did teshuvah, she called a girl, she tracked her down, and she called a girl that she used to bully in school in, I think, 3rd or 4th grade. And she told her, I know that I used to make fun of you and I used to bully you and I want to apologize. And the girl told her, I hated you. You made my life miserable. And I'll accept your apology. This is teshuvah. And you're saying, let me see what I did here. But it can only be done when Hashem allows you to do teshuvah. This is also another stage here, that Hashem needs to allow you to do teshuvah. So your prayers have to be sincere. Hashem, help me do teshuvah. If I owe anybody money, if I hurt anybody's feelings, if I did something, if I judged a person wrong and because of my judgment it caused sorrow to that person. Shem Erachem, what people do is unbelievable. People think that if they're strict with Shabbat and they're strict with kosher and they're covered from head to toe and all sorts of basic things, which I'm not chas v'shalom saying that they're basic, but then you're good to go. It's not enough. I know people that will look at leaves with microscopes to make sure that a little dot of a bug is not there, and Shabbat like a machine. But when it comes to talk about other people, what comes out of the mouth, Hashem Erachem, what comes out of people's mouth. The slandering and the Lashon Hara. Excuse me?
You need to be forgiving people, though, even if they don't apologize to us before Rosh Hashanah.
That's a very, very, very good question. Thank you for bringing it up, because I was almost forgot to say that. Somebody asked me the other day, I don't remember the exact story, but nevertheless, the point was that somebody did something wrong to that person. And he was like, what is the right thing for me to do? And I told the right thing for you to do right now, even though you are 1,000% right, the right thing for you to do is to forgive that person. Don't hold anger to that person. Don't expect that person to come and ask forgiveness. Don't wait for him to come and ask. Don't wait for him to come and rectify the situation. You go 2 steps ahead and you already forgive that person. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. Because that person is a messenger. Even though the person has free choice, free will to decide if to hurt you or not, but nevertheless, initially he was chosen by Hashem to be the messenger. Whether it's to take money from you, whether it's to hurt your feelings, whether it's to say Lashon Hara about you, and now the whole town is talking about you, it doesn't matter. That person is a shaliach, is a messenger. And the right thing to do is not to hold any anger, not to hold any feelings, and right away to forgive. I forgive that person.
Even if he owes you $40,000.
Even if he owes you $1 million.
$1 million, and you say,
even if it's $4 billion.
It's okay? Or
I didn't say you shouldn't pursue the debt, but you should pursue the debt in a legal way, but not with anger, not with revenge, not with the feelings that you want for him to explode. pursue the dead, we're saying, I forgive him. He's just a messenger.
And he doesn't.
And again, the thing is, it's not black and white. There are situations. Listen, I have to talk. When I talk very general. And I'm sure people behind the screen also have questions. I had a class like that once that I said right away, forgive, forgive, forgive. Somebody emailed me and says, my father molested me for 5 years. Do I need to forgive him? Why you say on your video I need to forgive? So you can't take every word that I say very literal. Everything is, let's say that things should be a little bit more dynamic here. And if there's something that is severe, as a $40 million debt, or whatever it is, or chas v'shalom, something severe, let's not be so fast to jump into a conclusion. I'm saying in general. And in general, things that are, let's put it in the category of normal, you have to forgive. I'm not saying for you to give Hitler יימח שמו. There's no place of forgiveness there. So it's very important that any of my words should not be taken literally and say, oh yeah, that's what he said now. But nevertheless, in general, yeah, you want to have, not only because of Rosh Hashanah, because of every day you want to forgive. It's the wrong approach not to forgive. And yes, you can be disappointed, you can be angry, you can be very let down, and sometimes it takes you a week to forgive, sometimes it takes you a year to forgive, but nevertheless, when you don't forgive, you are holding the negativity in your system. So you're hurting yourself. So somebody did something wrong to you, now for a whole year or 10 years you're carrying anger. What is it good for? You're hurting yourself. Let it go. Forgive the person. Because in 100% of the cases, at the end of the day, the one who approves everything is Hashem. So if something happened to me, it was approved by Hashem. And the fact that person A or person B was chosen to be the one who's doing it, that's a whole different thing. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu decided that will be the person who's going to be the executor. But nevertheless, the action happened to me because Hashem approved it to happen. Whether it's loss of money, whether it's loss of a loved one, whether it's a relationship that went bad, whether it's a partnership that exploded, whatever it is. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is the last word. Nothing moves in this universe without the stamp of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Any situation that happens, it's being presented to Hashem. He looks at it, approved. So nothing that happens to me is without the approval of Hashem. So if I have any type of an issue, it's between me and Hashem. And before between me and Hashem, it's between me and myself. Because we just learned about it the whole Shabbat. We talked about it so many times because we read such a strong parasha that if we do A, we're going to get striked. That wasn't such a fun parasha to listen. But nevertheless, we gave a quick explanation that it makes sense that if somebody does something wrong, has to be punished. On the surface, we all agree a person does something bad, he needs to be punished. That's a normal system. But why do people who don't do bad things get punished in this world? If they're a bad person and you get punished, I understand. I understand when it's not me, of course. When I get punished, it's not good. The laws don't work well and I'm the one who's getting punished. But in general, we're saying, a person does something bad, I understand common sense, he gets punished. But why do people who don't do anything bad, they get punished? So we went through a Gemara that can be found in Tractate Brachot, and it says there that if a person goes through hardship, then he should look through his actions. Haba'al adam yesurim yefashpesh b'ma'asav. Why? Because I maybe did something wrong. I got a ticket, somebody bumped into my car, the boiler exploded, whatever it is. Look through your actions, you might did something wrong. And you might find that you lied, or you cheated, or you you judged a person, you maybe desecrated Shabbat, you ate not kosher, whatever it is, you look through your actions. And usually the punishment, so to say, will hint on the actions that you did. So if you get a ticket or somebody bumps your door, it must be that you took somebody's money, or you cheated somebody out of money, or you owe somebody money, something with money. Anyways, the Talmud continues and says, if a person goes through their actions and doesn't find anything, then you have to understand that probably you did what's called bitul Torah. that you had the opportunity of learning Torah, and instead of that, you decided to watch some ridiculous videos of cats dancing on Facebook. And instead of learning Torah, you wasted your time on nonsense. And the Talmud continues and says, and if still you can't find that, these are Yisurim of love. That's suffering that Hashem does because He loves you. So I understand the first and the second. What kind of a love is that? If I love somebody, I slap them across the face. Well, next time I want to show them my love to my wife, I'll punch her. What kind of a system is that? Chas v'shalom, of course. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu created the system of Yesurim, of hardship, for one reason, to bring me closer to Him. When everything is going smooth and well, I don't think of Hashem. When things are a little bit hard, that's when I start thinking of Hashem. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, you're not going to listen, you're not going to pay attention, you're going to be drifting away. I'll make something that, well, you get back into focus. Now the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, if you can figure it out yourself, great. If not, I will make you figure it out. And the explanation that we were given is something we talked about on Shabbat. This is explained by the Ramchal, and he explains that the Kadosh Baruch Hu just wants you to be close to Him. And the way he explains it, that Hashem created us with two components, a body and a soul. And the body wants to be enjoying things in this world, food and sleeping and procreating and movies and whatever it is that causes you pleasure. And the soul doesn't. The soul wants to learn Torah, to do acts of kindness, to do good things, to do the good in the eyes of Hashem. Now if the body starts drifting away, becoming too much involved in the worldly pleasures, then the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives a little smack. Oh, then you suddenly wake up. Something's going on wrong. To wake you up. So the point is that even something bad happened to me, this is not the time to really break the analogy of why bad things happening, but in general, there's a few reasons why something bad will happen to me. The first and most dominating is that I did something wrong. That's it. And I'm getting the reflection right back at me. I did something wrong. The universe will turn it around and it's going to be thrown at me. So don't complain. Just be humble enough to say, I did something wrong, now I'm tasting my own medicine. Another situation that can cause something bad to happen is it's something that I did in the past, in this life, and it's coming, so to say, I don't like using that word, but it's coming to haunt me. I did something 30 years ago. Now it's time to pay the bill. And if you're aware of it, you're saying, oh, I understand, I did what I did 30 years ago. If I didn't do Teshuvah for that. Then can come a situation that's something that I did in a previous life. When we come back here with the whole record. And a lot of the things that we go through in this life is because I owe somebody or something in the life before that. And now it's time to pay the bill. That's why our sages say, accept the hardship with love, because Hashem is doing you a favor. And then, of course, a lot of the times that bad things happen to me is a test, only to see how I react. Because if somebody was going to do something bad to you right now, most people will go and talk Lashon Hara about that person, the entire town will know about it. And Hashem is testing you. If you're going to say Lashon Hara or not say Lashon Hara. You said somebody owes you a lot of money. I told you already 10 years ago, I don't want to tell the whole story again, we hired somebody to do a certain job. He took from us $250,000 and gave us $0. I wanted to choke the person. You can't even imagine what I wanted to do to the person. Now, you know what was worse of all? He was in my shul. I was the gabbai in the shul. The guy was a Levi. I had to call him 3 times up to the Torah every week. I had to give him a blessing. Nobody in the shul knew anything. The test was not the fact that what did I do? The test was how am I reacting? Am I physically going to hurt the person? Am I emotionally and mentally hurt the person? Am I going to pray all day long for him to explode? Am I going to tell now the entire congregation what he did? So sometimes something bad happens to you, not because you did anything, because the Kadosh Baruch Hu is putting you on such an extreme test to see how you react. And I knew it was my wife and me. Nobody knew about this thing but my wife and me. It was the biggest temptation to come and stand in the middle of the shul and say, do you know what so-and-so did? It was inviting every second just to say this Lashon Hara. But I knew the test is to no Lashon Hara. You know how much I wanted to pray for his ceiling to collapse on him? But the test was to pray for him not to have anything wrong. I would pray, Hashem, please don't do anything to him. Please don't punish him. Look at the Nosach of the Arizal in Kiryat Shema Lamita. We say, I hereby forgive every person that did anything to me. Hurted me physically, emotionally, money, this incarnation, previous reincarnation. Because this is the test. So many times bad things happen to you, not because you're a bad person, because Hashem wants to test your reaction. And if you pass that test, you pass it with flying colors, you take yourself to a much higher spiritual level. Everything in your life, all the opportunities start opening in front of you. And if you fail, because you went and talked bad about that person throughout the town, or whatever it is, or you took actual action of revenge, then you failed miserably, and you added another load of sins onto your back. So we have to constantly understand that bad things happen to us. I always like looking at it that if something bad happened to me, it's my fault. It's nobody else's fault. It's the easiest thing to point the finger and says, you did it. So when something bad happens to me, I'll give you an example. I just told you over Shabbat. We were now in Los Angeles. I'm not used to these things. I don't have a car. So in Los Angeles, we parked the car. It was a meter. So I paid the meter, and I told my daughter, every hour, make sure that we're paying the meter. I was sitting the whole day in meetings. And I'm sitting in the meeting, and I see the cop. And I'm like, well, he's not painting my car. He's not a painter. In Tzfat, you see people painting all day long looking at. I was like, he doesn't look like he's painting my car. And I tell my daughter, and she doesn't understand. She thought I'm doing like the Macarena or something, like she's like, I told her. She didn't get the miming here. So I had to stop the meeting. I told her, go out to the car, we're getting a ticket. So, okay, sure enough, we got a ticket. And she comes in with the ticket and she tells me, here's your ticket. I told her, it's your ticket, it's not my ticket. You were supposed to pay the ticket, not me. Anyways, the meter. Anyways, for a moment I got very upset. And I wanted to tell her, how irresponsible is this? I asked you to pay the meter. I asked you to look at the time. I asked you to pay. But very quickly I was like, it's fine, sit down, we'll pay the ticket. We had to get the ticket. It's not your fault, it's not my fault, it's not anybody's fault. Hashem wanted to give me a ticket. Why? I don't know. Maybe I owe somebody that money. Maybe Hashem was just testing my reaction to see if I'm going to get upset at my girl, and my daughter, and scream and make a scene. And it's very easy. Just look at your daily behavior. You see that just like that, you lose your patience. And you start screaming all over, and 2 minutes later, I'm sorry, I raised my voice at you. Yeah, it's okay, but try not to get there. So take this example with the ticket. Sometimes the Kadosh Baruch Hu, this is cheap. It's only $60. Yeah, Baruch Hashem, Hashem didn't test me with something bigger than that. But even that was annoying for a few seconds. And very quickly, the system that I was able to develop over years was to right away calm down. What would the anger do right now? What would the accusations do right now? What, I'm going to hurt her feelings? Even if she's 100% wrong. I can technically say to my daughter, you are 100% wrong. You had the responsibility to pay the meter. But I right away reversed and I said, I did something wrong. I did something wrong that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is now giving me a patch on my head to tell me, don't think you're that great. Don't let anything go up to your mind that you are so great. You're not great. I'm talking about myself, not you. So Kadosh Baruch Hu every now and then gives you a little patch to your head to say, relax. Don't think you're such a great person. So the point to take from that is that 6 days from now, Rosh Hashanah is a very special time. You can look at it in a negative way and a positive way. The positive way, of course, that we're blessed to be a selected nation, that we're standing in front of Hashem, and Hashem can and will bless us with all these good things that we wish for ourselves, health and parnasah, and the good livelihood, and to find out my other half, and if I'm already married, to have a good relationship, and so forth. And this is the time to fill in the barrels with brachot, with blessings. But I should not forget for 1 second that it's a severe day. It's a serious day. It's 2 days. It's 48 hours. Even in Israel we celebrate 2 days. And the preparation to the mitzvah is more important than the mitzvah itself. The mitzvah on Rosh Hashanah, by the way, is just to listen to the shofar. That's the mitzvah. Just to listen to the blowing of the shofar. It's the only mitzvah of the holiday. But 30 days prior to Rosh Hashanah, my preparation, that is what's going to cause the day to change in many different ways. My preparation, my teshuvah through the month of Elul. So I'm hoping that you're already into it. But if chas v'shalom you're just now waking up, 6 days is a long time to make a lot of phone calls. So I started going through a little list here. When we're running out of time, we'll do another class. I talked about looking into money and looking into people that you hurt and so forth. Now, there's much more things that you want to go thoroughly through your teshuvah to make sure you're not leaving any loose ends. But you can use your own imagination and you make an analysis. Where could I have gone wrong? And a big thing that Hashem has his eye on is how much I was investing in refining myself. How much time and effort I invested to make sure that I'm a much better person than the previous year. When I pray to Hashem, especially on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, I pray to Hashem, please help me become a better husband. I want to be a much better husband. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better citizen, a better neighbor, a better teacher. I want to make sure that I don't fail. Don't bring me into any test. So just look at all these things and you'll figure out exactly what Hashem is expecting from you, and make sure that your teshuvah is done with your whole heart, with truth, with emet, not looking for revenge, not looking to somebody to chas v'shalom be punished. Let Hashem punish whoever He wants to punish. Trust me, with the guy with $250,000, not that I'm saying it because of anything, after a whole year, my wife and me was the biggest test ever. Baruch Hashem, for us everything changed, all the opportunities opened, things worked out, and unfortunately Hashem Merachem, he had a terrible couple years. His son had cancer, all sorts of bad things, which was the next level test. Not to say, ha ha ha, is to say, see, you did this to me, now you're getting punished. That was in a bigger test. To sit and learn Tehillim for his son, and to mention his son's name in the Misheberach, and so forth. So we have to understand that we have to let go of anything that is negative. So for your answer, for your question in the back, then you want to make sure that in not all cases, but that you forgive and you forget. You let go of all anger and animosity and all these feelings that they only hurt you at the end of the day. If I'm now carrying anger towards another person, I'm hurting myself. If I'm carrying any thoughts of revenge or anything negative, I'm the one who's carrying it. People get severe diseases because they carry anger for 30 years. Because somebody did something to them that is usually this big. So just for your own sake, let go. Don't worry. Hashem is the judge. Let Him judge. He does the best judgment ever. Whatever belongs to you, whatever you deserve will come to you. If a person chas v'shalom needs to be punished, our job is to pray to Hashem that person should not be punished because of me. Don't involve me here. Look again, look at the nosach of the Arizal, how he says it in Kriyat Shema Lamita. Shelo yavo adam le'anesh biglali. A person should not be punished because of me. This is a much greater level. Trust me, Hashem sees that and credits you when you're saying, I don't want anybody to be punished because of me. So what if that person talk Lashon Hara about me? So, Hashem Merachem when people talk about me in this city and Bechlal. Do I go and pray that these people should be struck with lightning? No, I pray for these people to have refuah, to have Yeshua. So Hashem should not punish them. So what if they can't control their mouth? Whatever it is. I don't get upset. People think I don't know. I know exactly what everybody talks about me. I know it's the funny thing because I told somebody not too long ago, somebody tell me, you know what people say about you? I say, I know everything. I have ears everywhere. I know what everybody tells about me, and more than that, every person that says something about me, when I look at them, I know exactly what they said. And as I was saying that, today I saw two people talking, and they're like, just how they said hello to me, I'm like, you're guilty as can be. And I'm like, how are you? I'm like, how are you? You don't slander me across the city all day long, you're telling me how I am. So the person that I said, you talk bad about somebody, it's written all over the face. So I don't care. I don't care. I don't go and now, chas v'shalom, will talk bad back, or to pray for that person to be punished. No. Pray for that person to do teshuvah, to chas v'shalom, the person should not be punished. Yeah. And if somebody is saying something, whatever, who cares? So what if people say things about you? Big deal. As long as you know the truth, that's what's important. I know sometimes people go and say things about you and you're worried now, the whole community is talking, and who cares? I mean, I know it's easier said than done. But nevertheless, I care what Hashem thinks. I don't care what people think. No, don't take it personal. I care what you think. But I don't care. I care what Hashem thinks. If I'm doing the right in the eyes of Hashem, if somebody wants to say something about me, that's their problem. It's not my problem. But nevertheless, you definitely want to let go. You don't want to hold anger. You don't want to hold grudge. You don't want to hold things inside of you because you're the one who's getting, you're punishing yourself. Trust me, you let go of things, your life will be much, much better. You open all the opportunities to you, health and wealth and your own common health. Who needs this headache? And at the end of the day, Bichlal, we want Hashem to forgive us. Start forgiving other people. Don't worry about what things did to you or took from you. Bezrat Hashem, I hope you have a little bit of some tools to use for the next 6 days. We're going to have more classes in the next couple of days to help prepare for Rosh Hashanah. And you definitely want to take advantage of these 6 days to make sure that we're entering Rosh Hashanah clean. I don't owe anything to anybody. I don't owe nothing to nobody. I did my part. I did my best. I did my teshuvah. I did my 70 phone calls to anybody that I think that maybe I need to come to some type of an understanding with. And we want to walk in clean and pure into Rosh Hashanah, that Hashem should bless us all with a beautiful year full of health and wealth and happiness. And we should be a year that we finally see the coming of Mashiach with our own eyes. Unless Hashem wants us to come before Rosh Hashanah, I'll accept Mashiach any second. But if Chas v'Shalom has to be delayed another 6 days, so at least the next year should be blessed with all that our heart desires. Hashem should bless you 10,000 times more than you can handle.